My name is Otto, but most people just call me Grandpa Otto. I'm 71 years old, and on a night that smelled of disinfectant and fear, sitting beside my mother's hospital bed, I learned exactly how alone loyalty can be. The room was quiet. Too quiet. No siblings, no in-laws, no, I'm on my way. Just the slow beep of a monitor, and my phone lighting up for the wrong reason. It wasn't concern. It wasn't grief. It was my wife asking, casually, if I'd sent the money for her vacation yet. That was the moment something in me went cold. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't remind her where I was sitting. I said yes, and began doing something else entirely. Because while everyone else disappeared when my mother needed them most, they forgot one thing. I was the only one still paying attention. Before I tell you how a single quiet decision shifted the power in my household, and why that vacation money became the most expensive request she ever made, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from today? Drop it in the comments. I see more than you think. To everyone who understands that betrayal doesn't always come with shouting, sometimes it arrives softly. Thank you for being here. And if this is your first time listening, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. This isn't just a channel. It's proof that silence, when used correctly, can be devastating. Now, let me tell you what I did next, and why no one ever asked me for money the same way again. The stroke happened on a Tuesday. My mother, 89 years old, sharp as ever until that morning, collapsed in her kitchen while making tea. The neighbor found her 3 hours later. By the time they called me, she was already in the ICU, half her face slack, unable to speak. The doctor was blunt. The next 48 hours are critical. If she makes it through, we'll know more. But you should prepare yourself. I nodded, asked the questions you're supposed to ask, signed the forms. And then I sat down in that plastic chair beside her bed, and I made the calls. First, my wife, Elara, voicemail. I tried again, nothing. So I texted, "Mom's had a stroke. She's in ICU. It's serious." No response. I called my daughter, Annika. She answered on the fourth ring, distracted. "Dad, hi. What's up?" "Your grandmother's in the hospital. She had a stroke. It doesn't look good." A pause. The sound of typing in the background. "Oh no. God, that's awful. Is she stable?" "They don't know yet. The next 2 days are critical." More typing. "Okay. Well, keep me posted, okay? I've got a huge presentation tomorrow, but I'll try to swing by this weekend if she's still..." Annika. "Yeah?" I wanted to say, "Your grandmother might die tonight. Get in your car. Now." But I didn't. I said, "Never mind. I'll let you know." I hung up. My son, Matteo, didn't answer at all. I left a message. Sent a text. Nothing. My brother, Stefan, the one who used to brag about how close he was to Mom, how he was her favorite, sent a text 2 hours later. "Damn, sorry to hear that, bro. Tied up with work stuff but sending good vibes. Let me know if you need anything." Good vibes. I stared at that message for a long time, and then I turned my phone face down and looked at my mother. She was so small in that bed. Tubes everywhere. Her hair, white and thin now, spread across the pillow like silk. Her hand, when I took it, was cold. "It's okay, Mom," I whispered. "I'm here." The monitor beeped. The nurse came in, checked vitals, smiled sympathetically, and left. I stayed. That first night I didn't sleep. I sat in that chair holding her hand, watching her chest rise and fall. Every time the monitor beeped differently, my heart jumped. Is this it? Is she going? But she didn't go. She held on. By morning, I was exhausted. My back ached. My eyes burned. I hadn't eaten since lunch the day before. I checked my phone. Elara had finally texted back. "Just saw this. How is she?" I called. She answered immediately, her voice bright. "Otto. God, I'm so sorry I missed your calls yesterday. I was at Celeste's and we were..." "She's stable, For now. Oh, thank God. That's good news, right? The doctor says, Listen, she interrupted. I'm so glad she's okay. But I wanted to catch you because Runa just texted and the booking window closes Friday. I blinked. What? The Tuscany trip? Remember? I mentioned it last week. Celeste, Runa, and I are going in October, and the villa discount ends Friday. Can you transfer the money today? It's $8,000. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, my mother's ventilator hissing softly beside me. Otto, are you there? I'm here. So can you do the transfer? I don't want to lose the early rate. Dario's coming too, so it'll be couples, which will be nice. Elara. Yeah? I looked at my mother, at the tubes, the monitors, the way her hand felt so fragile in mine. I'll take care of it. You're the best. Love you. She hung up. I sat there for a long time after that, not moving, not thinking, just sitting. The nurse came in again, asked if I needed anything. Coffee, food, a blanket. I shook my head. I'm fine. But I wasn't. Something inside me, something I didn't even know was still capable of breaking, had just quietly shattered. And in the silence that followed, a new thought began to form. Cold, clear, final. If no one's coming, then no one gets to pretend they cared. By the third day, I'd become invisible. Not to the nurses. They were kind, checking on me every few hours, bringing me stale coffee and graham crackers from the break room. But to my family, I was a ghost. Elara texted twice more about the Tuscany booking. Nothing about my mother. Annika sent a quick, "Thinking of you, Dad," but didn't call. Matteo finally responded to my voicemail with, "Sorry, crazy week. I'll try to visit next weekend." Stefan sent a meme. A meme. I stopped reaching out. My mother's condition stabilized slightly. Enough that the doctor said she might pull through, though the damage was severe. She'd need rehab, maybe long-term care. She still couldn't speak. I made all the decisions, signed all the forms, sat with her when they moved her to a step-down unit. And through it all, I thought about that $8,000. Not the money itself. I've got money. Spent 40 years building an architecture firm from nothing. Smart investments. Rental properties. I could afford to send Elara to Tuscany 10 times over. But it wasn't about affording it. It was about what it meant. While I sat here, alone, watching my mother fight for her life, my wife was planning a vacation, annoyed that I hadn't transferred the funds fast enough. So, on the fourth morning, sitting in the hospital cafeteria with a tray of congealed eggs I wasn't going to eat, I pulled out my phone. I opened the banking app, and I transferred the money. Not $8,000, $12,000. I sent it with a note. "For you and the girls. Have a wonderful time." Her response came within 2 minutes. "OMG, Otto, you're amazing. Thank you so much." I stared at those emojis for a long time. Then I opened a new tab and did something I'd been avoiding for years. I called my lawyer. Not the family attorney, the one Elara knew about, the one who'd handled our wills and trusts. I called Marcus, an old college friend who specialized in forensic accounting and asset protection. We'd had lunch maybe twice in the last decade. He owed me nothing. "Otto, Jesus, it's been a while. How are you?" "I need your help," I said, quietly. There was a pause. "What kind of help?" "The kind where no one knows I'm asking." Another pause. Longer this time. "When can you meet?" "Tomorrow, your office. I'll clear my schedule." I hung up. The eggs were cold now. I threw the tray away and walked back to my mother's room. She was awake, sort of. Her eyes tracked me as I sat down. She tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Just sounds. Frustrated, broken sounds. I took her hand. "It's okay, Mom. Don't try to talk. Just rest." She squeezed my hand. Weak, but there. "I'm going to take care of everything," I said softly. "I promise." Her eyes searched my face. I don't know if she understood what I meant, but I did. That night, after the nurses dimmed the lights and the hallway went quiet, I sat in that uncomfortable chair and made a list in my phone. Not a revenge list. Not yet. Just questions. Where's the money going? What don't I know? Why did no one come? What happens if I stop being the bank? I didn't have answers, but I was going to get them. The next morning, I left the hospital for the first time in 4 days. Told the nurses I'd be back in a few hours. My mother was stable. She'd be fine without me for a bit. Marcus's office was downtown, sleek, glass, the kind of place that charges by the minute. He met me in the lobby himself, which told me he understood this was serious. "Otto, you look like hell." "Thanks. Come on up." We sat in his office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, and I told him everything. Not emotionally, not angrily, just factually. The stroke, the silence, the vacation request, the pattern I was starting to see but didn't want to believe. When I finished, Marcus leaned back in his chair and steepled his fingers. "What do you want me to do?" "I want to know where my money is going. All of it. For the last 5 years. Maybe 10. You think Alara's hiding something? I think I've spent 40 years not asking questions, and I'm done with that." He nodded slowly. "This kind of audit? It's invasive. If she finds out, she won't, because you're not going to tell anyone, and neither am I." Marcus studied me for a long moment. "You're serious." "I've never been more serious in my life." He pulled out a legal pad. "Okay, I'll need access to your accounts, credit cards, joint statements, tax returns. You'll have it by tonight. This could take a few weeks. I've got time." He looked up at me. Something in his expression softened. "Otto, are you okay?" I thought about that. About sitting alone in a hospital room while my wife planned vacations. About my kids treating my mother's stroke like an inconvenience. About 40 years of being the dependable one, the provider, the safety net, and realizing that maybe, just maybe, I'd been taken for granted so long I'd forgotten what respect felt like. "No," I said finally, "but I will be." Marcus nodded. "I'll start tonight." I left his office and drove back to the hospital. My mother was sleeping when I got there. I sat down beside her, took her hand, and for the first time in 4 days I felt something other than exhaustion. I felt purpose. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd just keep giving. They thought loyalty meant doormat. But here's the thing about quiet men. We don't break loudly. We don't shout. We don't warn you. We just stop. And by the time you realize the ground has shifted beneath you, it's too late to catch yourself. I looked at my phone. Alara had posted on social media. A photo of her and Celeste and Runa at some wine bar, glasses raised, smiling. The caption, "Can't wait for Tuscany." I liked the photo, commented, "Have the best time. You deserve it." And then I opened my banking app and started forwarding statements to Marcus. All of them. Every account, every card, every transaction. Because if there's one thing 40 years of architecture taught me, it's this. Before you tear something down, you need to know exactly where the cracks are. And I was about to find every single one. Marcus called me on a Thursday. I was back at the hospital. My mother had been moved to a rehabilitation facility by then, making slow progress. She could move her left hand now. Still couldn't speak, but the therapist said that might come back with time. I was sitting in the visitor's lounge drinking terrible coffee from a vending machine when my phone buzzed. "Otto, we need to meet." His voice was different, tight, professional. "You found something." "I found a lot of things, but not over the phone. Can you come to my office today?" I looked at my watch. 3 p.m. "Give me an hour." "I'll be here." The drive downtown felt longer than usual. Traffic was normal, weather was fine, but my hands were tight on the steering wheel. Part of me didn't want to know what Marcus had found. The other part, the part that had been sitting alone in that hospital for days, needed to know everything. Marcus was waiting when I arrived. No secretary, no assistant. Just him, a closed door, and a manila folder on his desk that looked too thin for what I was expecting. "Sit down, Otto." I sat. He pushed the folder across the desk but didn't let go of it immediately. "Before I show you this, I need to ask, are you sure you want to see it?" "What kind of question is that?" "The kind I ask when what I found is going to hurt." I looked at him. Really looked at him. Marcus and I had known each other for 30 years. He'd been the best man at my wedding. Held my daughter when she was 2 days old. He wasn't being dramatic. "Show me." He opened the folder. The first page was a bank statement. An account I didn't recognize. Opened 7 years ago. Joint holder, Ilara. Current balance, $340,000. I stared at the number. What is this? "A personal savings account your wife opened in 2018. She's been making monthly transfers from your joint checking. Small amounts at first, $2,000, $3,000. But in the last 2 years, $8,000 to even $12,000 per month." My mouth went dry. "That's my money. Technically, it's joint marital assets, but yes, your earnings. Being moved systematically into an account you didn't know existed." He flipped to the next page. Credit card statements. "She's also been using a card you're not on. High limit. Paid off monthly from that hidden account so it never shows up on your joint statements." I scanned the charges. Designer boutiques, luxury hotels, first-class flights, spa treatments, jewelry. "How much?" "In the last 3 years? About $180,000 in personal spending that never appeared on your radar." I felt something cold spreading through my chest. "What else?" Marcus hesitated. "Your daughter, Annika. I did some digging into her communications. Nothing illegal, just public records and professional networks. She's been telling colleagues that you're declining, that you're forgetful, showing signs of cognitive issues. That's not true. I know, but she's been laying groundwork. I found emails to elder law attorneys asking about conservatorship procedures, how to petition for guardianship if a parent becomes unable to manage their affairs." The room felt smaller suddenly. "She wants to control my money." "That's what it looks like." He flipped to another page. "Your son, Matteo. This one's more straightforward. He forged your signature on a loan application 3 months ago. Second mortgage on your beach property, $200,000. My vision blurred for a second. He did what? The bank didn't verify because you'd co-signed loans with him before. They assumed it was legitimate. The money's gone. Looks like he invested it in some cryptocurrency venture that collapsed." I couldn't speak. Marcus pulled out another document. "And your brother, Stefan. The loans you've given him over the years, $75,000 total by my count. He's been telling friends and extended family that he's the one who took care of your mother, that you were too busy with work, and he made all the sacrifices." "That's a lie." "I know, but it's what he's saying, and people believe him." Marcus closed the folder. The silence stretched between us. "Otto, say something." I couldn't. Because what do you say when you discover that the people you built your life around have been systematically robbing you, planning to control you, lying about you? What do you say when 40 years of love and sacrifice and exhaustion add up to nothing but a bank account they can drain? Finally, I looked up. "Can I prove all of this?" "Every word. I've got copies of everything. Bank statements, loan documents, emails, affidavits from the bank about the forged signature. It's all documented." "Could I press charges? Against Matteo?" "Forgery and fraud. Absolutely. You'd win." "And Ilara?" "Harder. Technically, joint assets can be moved by either party, but combined with the undisclosed accounts and the pattern of deception, a divorce attorney would have a field day. You'd keep everything." I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city I'd helped build, the skyline dotted with buildings I'd designed. "What would you do?" I asked quietly. Marcus was silent for a long moment. Honestly, I'd burn it all down. I turned around. But you're not me. You're the guy who still visits his mother every day, who paid for everyone's everything without asking for credit. You're better than me. I looked at the folder on his desk. Maybe I'm tired of being better. Marcus nodded slowly. Then let me help you. I sat back down. I want to call a family meeting. When? 2 weeks, Sunday. I'll tell them it's about my mother's estate and financial planning. They'll come. Oh, I know they'll come. I felt something like a smile pulling at my mouth, but it wasn't warm. Money always brings people to the table. Marcus pulled out a legal pad. What do you need from me? Everything. Documents. Printed. Organized. Highlighted. I want it so clean that when I put it in front of them, there's no room for lies. Done. What else? I need post-nuptial agreement papers drawn up, divorce papers as backup, loan repayment contracts for Matteo, and I want a new will drafted. One that removes Annika entirely. Marcus wrote quickly, "This is going to get ugly, Otto." It's already ugly. I'm just making it visible. He looked up at me. You're sure about this? I thought about my mother, lying in that hospital bed, voiceless. I thought about sitting alone while my wife booked vacations. I thought about 40 years of being the foundation everyone stood on while they forgot I was human too. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The meeting was set, 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks I didn't sleep much, but I prepared everything. Every document, every sentence I was going to say, every exit I was going to block, because when you're about to dismantle someone's entire world, you don't improvise. You architect it. And trust me, what happened in that dining room will haunt them for the rest of their lives. If you want to see the moment I laid it all out, every lie, every betrayal, every stolen dollar, you need to subscribe and hit that notification bell right now. The next chapter is the confrontation, the reckoning. The moment they realized the quiet man they'd ignored was the most dangerous person in the room. Drop a like if you think they deserve what's coming. Comment justice if you've been waiting for this moment, because next time, nobody walks away unscathed. Sunday arrived like any other. Clear sky, light breeze, the kind of morning that feels unremarkable. But I'd been awake since 4 a.m., setting the table. Not for brunch, for war. I'd sent the email 3 days earlier. Subject, family meeting. Important discussion about Mom's estate and future planning. Everyone, I need to meet with you this Sunday at 10 a.m. It's important we discuss Mom's care costs, estate distribution, and some financial decisions that affect all of us. Please confirm attendance. Otto. They all confirmed within an hour. Elara. Of course, I'll make coffee. Annika. We'll be there, Dad. Matteo. Stefan. Wouldn't miss it, brother. Of course they wouldn't. They smelled money. By 9:45 a.m., everything was ready. The dining room table, the one we'd eaten 1,000 family dinners at, was set formally. Coffee, pastries I'd bought but wouldn't eat. Notepads, pens, and in the center, a leather portfolio. Inside that portfolio, their entire lives, documented. Marcus had delivered it 2 days ago. 3 inches thick, tabs, highlights, sticky notes, every lie, every theft, every betrayal, organized like a legal brief, because that's what it was. At 9:50, Elara came downstairs. She was dressed nicely, like she was going to a business meeting, not a family discussion. Hair done. Makeup perfect. This looks very official, she said lightly, pouring herself coffee. It is. She glanced at me, something flickering in her eyes, but smiled. Well, I'm glad you're finally thinking about this stuff. Estate planning is so important. I didn't respond. At 9:55, Annika arrived. She hugged me, the first time she'd touched me in weeks. Hi, Dad. How's Grandma? Improving. Oh, good. She sat down, checked her phone. So, what's this about? We'll wait for everyone. Matteo showed up at 10:03, looking annoyed that he had to be here, nodded at me, grabbed a pastry, sat down without a word. Stefan arrived last at 10:07, all smiles and backslaps. Otto, good to see you, man. How you holding up? Fine. And Mom? She's alive, no thanks to any of you. The room went quiet. Stefan laughed awkwardly. Hey, come on, we've all been busy. Sit down, Stefan. He sat. I looked around the table. My wife of 40 years, my 2 children, my brother, 4 people who were supposed to be my family, 4 people who had forgotten I was theirs. I opened the portfolio. Thank you all for coming. I know you're busy. I'll try to keep this brief. Alara smiled. Of course, honey. Whatever you need. I need, I said evenly, to address some financial discrepancies I've discovered. The smiles faltered. I pulled out the first document, slid it across the table to Alara. This is a bank statement for an account I didn't know existed, opened in 2018. Joint holder, you. Current balance, $340,000. Her face went white. Otto, I can explain. Please don't. I pulled out the next document. This is a breakdown of transfers from our joint checking into that account. 7 years, monthly deposits, small at first, then larger, then much larger. She opened her mouth, closed it. I turned to Matteo. This, I said, sliding a document toward him, is a loan application for a second mortgage on my beach house. $200,000. The signature at the bottom is supposed to be mine. Matteo's jaw tightened. It's not my signature, I continued quietly. It's a forgery. That's a felony, Matteo. Fraud. I could have you arrested right now. Dad, I was going to tell you. When? After you lost all the money? Because you did lose it, didn't you? Some cryptocurrency scheme that collapsed? He looked at the table. I turned to Annika. You've been telling people I'm declining, that I have memory issues. You've consulted with elder law attorneys about conservatorship. Her eyes widened. Who told you that? Does it matter? It's true, isn't it? Dad, I was just being cautious. You were positioning yourself to control my assets, to have me declared incompetent so you could manage my money. That's not. I have the emails, Annika. All of them. Silence. I finally looked at Stefan. You've been telling people you're the one who took care of Mom, that I was too busy, that you made sacrifices. Stefan shifted uncomfortably. Otto, look. You stopped visiting her 2 years ago. I have her journals. She wrote about it, about how lonely she was, about how I was the only one who called. His face flushed red. You borrowed $75,000 from me over the years, I continued. You never paid back a cent, and you've been telling our family that I owe you. The room was silent now. No one looked at each other. No one looked at me. I closed the portfolio. Here's what's going to happen. Alara started crying, but I saw through it now. Strategic tears. Alara, you have 30 days to return the $340,000. If you don't, I file for divorce and sue for fraud. You'll also sign a post-nuptial agreement relinquishing any claim to my assets. The papers are already drawn up. She gasped. Otto, please. Matteo, you'll repay the beach house mortgage, $3,000 per month. I've already set up automatic withdrawals from your account. If you miss a single payment, I press charges. Forgery, fraud, prison time. Matteo's face went dark with rage. Annika, you're removed from my will, effective immediately. The college funds I set up for your kids now require my approval for every withdrawal, and you'll get nothing, unless you earn back my trust. That'll take years, if it happens at all. Annika's tears were real. Dad. Stefan, the $75,000 in loans? Consider it a gift, but you're out of my life, completely. I don't want calls. I don't want texts. I don't want to see you at holidays. We're done. Stefan stood up. You can't. Sit, Down. He sat. All of you, I said quietly, will watch as I donate Mom's entire estate, all $50,000, to the hospice where she spent her final days. Her name will be on a plaque. None of yours will. I stood up, walked to the door, opened it. Get out of my house. Chaos erupted, shouting, pleading, threats. But I stood there, hand on the door, face calm. And one by one, they left. Ilara last, turning at the threshold. How could you do this to your own family? I looked at her. You already did it to me. I'm just returning the favor. The door closed. The house was silent. And for the first time in 63 years, I felt something I'd never felt before. Free. You think that's the end? It's not. Because 3 months later, something happened I never saw coming. One of them came back. And what they said, it broke something in me I thought was beyond repair. But it also opened a door I'd thought was closed forever. Who came back? What did they confess? And did I forgive them? The answer will surprise you, and it might even change how you see this whole story. If you want to know what happens when revenge meets redemption, subscribe now and turn on all notifications. Hit that like button if this story is hitting too close to home. And drop a comment. Have you ever cut someone out of your life completely? Now, let's continue. 3 months passed. I sold the house, the one with too many memories and too many empty rooms. Moved into a smaller condo downtown. Modern, clean, mine. I started volunteering at the hospice where my mother spent her final days. Twice a week, I'd sit with patients who had no family. Read to them. Just be there. It helped. Not because it erased what happened, but because it reminded me that some people do show up. Some people do care. And maybe, just maybe, being one of those people was enough. Ilara returned most of the money. Her lawyer negotiated it down to $310,000 after expenses. I signed the papers. We're separated now. Divorce pending. I heard through mutual friends she's living with Celeste, working part-time at some boutique. I felt nothing when I heard that. Not anger, not satisfaction. Just nothing. Mateo made his first 3 payments, then missed the 4th. I got a furious email calling me vindictive, cruel, heartless. I forwarded it to my lawyer and blocked his number. Stefan moved to Arizona. I found out through Facebook. He didn't tell me. I didn't ask. And Annika. I hadn't heard from Annika at all. Until one Tuesday morning, when an envelope arrived. No return address. But I recognized the handwriting immediately. I sat at my kitchen table, the small one, just 2 chairs, and stared at that envelope for a long time before I opened it. Inside, 3 pages, handwritten. Her penmanship had always been careful, precise, like she was afraid of making mistakes. The letter started simply. Dad, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you should, but I need to write it anyway, even if you throw it away. I've been in therapy for 2 months now. Real therapy. Not the kind where you complain about your problems and leave feeling justified. The kind where someone holds up a mirror and you have to look at what you've become. And Dad, I hate what I see. My hands started shaking. I was wrong. About everything. The conservatorship plans, the things I said about you, the way I treated Grandma's stroke like an inconvenience instead of a crisis. I was so focused on protecting my future, on making sure my kids would be okay, that I turned you into a resource instead of a father. I forgot you were human. I forgot you could be hurt. And when you needed us most, when you were sitting alone in that hospital watching Grandma die, I chose a presentation over you. I can't undo that. I know I can't. And I'm not writing this to ask for forgiveness because I don't deserve it. But I need you to know. You were right. About all of it. You weren't being vindictive. You were being honest. And I'm ashamed. Deeply, painfully ashamed of who I became. I don't expect you to respond. I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did, and I'm so sorry. Love, Annika. I read it 3 times. Then I set it down and stared out the window at the city below. Cars moving, people walking, life continuing like nothing had changed. But something had changed. Not forgiveness, not yet, maybe not ever. But something. A crack in the wall I'd built. I didn't respond immediately. I waited 2 weeks. Carried that letter with me. Read it again when I doubted myself. When I wondered if I'd been too harsh. Too cold. And then, finally, I picked up the phone. She answered on the second ring. "Dad?" Her voice was small, uncertain. "I got your letter." Silence. I could hear her breathing. "I'm not ready to forgive you," I said quietly. "I don't know if I ever will be. I understand. But..." I closed my eyes, thought about my mother, about the kind of person she was, about what she would want. "But I'm willing to talk. Once a month. Coffee, no money, no expectations. Just talk." I heard her breath catch. "I'd like that," she whispered. "I'd really like that." "Okay. Thank you, Dad." "Don't thank me yet, Annika. This doesn't fix anything. You hurt me. Badly. And that doesn't just go away because you wrote a letter. I know. But you showed up, in your own way, and that's more than the others did." Another silence. "Can I ask you something?" she said finally. "What?" "The kids. They miss you. They don't understand why Grandpa doesn't come around anymore, and I haven't told them the truth because they're too young. But..." She trailed off. "But what? Could they... maybe someday... could they see you again?" I looked at the photo on my mantel, the only one I'd kept from the old house. My mother, smiling, holding baby Annika on her lap. "Maybe," I said. "In time, we'll see." "Okay." Her voice was thick with tears now. "That's more than I deserve." "Probably." She laughed, a broken, wet sound. "I'll let you go," I said. "Okay, Dad?" "Yeah?" "I really am sorry." I didn't respond, just hung up, and sat there in the silence of my small, peaceful apartment. It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't reconciliation. It was just a door, slightly open. Maybe that was enough. Maybe it wasn't. But it was mine to decide. And for the first time in my entire life, I was deciding based on what I needed, not what they wanted, not what was expected, just what I could live with. And that felt like freedom. This is where most stories would end. With the letter, with the possibility of reconciliation, with a neat little bow that makes everyone feel better. But my story doesn't end there. Because 6 months after that phone call, something else happened. Something I never expected. Something that made me realize revenge and forgiveness aren't opposites. They're just 2 sides of the same coin. And which side you land on, that depends entirely on who you are when you flip it. If you want to know what happened next, how this story really ends, you need to stay with me for one more chapter. The final chapter. The one that ties everything together. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button if this journey meant something to you. And drop a comment. Do you think I did the right thing? Because what comes next will answer that question in ways you won't expect. 6 months later. I'm sitting in the hospice garden. It's become my spot. A bench under an oak tree, overlooking the rose beds volunteers planted last spring. I come here after my shifts, just to sit, to think, to remember. Annika and I have had coffee 4 times now. It's awkward, careful, like we're learning a language we both used to speak but forgot. But she shows up. Every time. On time. Present. That counts for something. Last week she asked if her kids, my grandchildren, could visit me here. Neutral ground. No pressure. I said yes. They're coming today. I'm nervous in a way I haven't been in years. Because kids don't lie. They don't pretend. And if they look at me like a stranger, I don't know if I can handle that. But I'm here anyway. At 2 p.m., I see them walking up the path. Annika, and two small figures beside her. Emma, 7. Lucas, 5. They spot me and Emma waves. Hesitant, but real. I wave back. Annika stops a few feet away. Say hi to Grandpa. Lucas hides behind her leg. Emma steps forward. Hi, Grandpa Otto. Hi, sweetheart. Mom says you work here now, helping people. That's right. That's nice. She looks around. Can we see the garden? Absolutely. We walk. Annika hangs back, giving us space. Emma chatters about school. Lucas warms up slowly, showing me a toy car he brought. At one point, Emma stops by the memorial plaque, the one with my mother's name. Who's that? She asks. My mother, your great-grandmother. She died? Yes. Were you sad? I kneel down so I'm at her level. Very sad. She was important to me. Emma thinks about this. My teacher says when people die, they stay in your heart. Your teacher's right. So she's in your heart now? Every day. Emma nods, satisfied with this answer. We sit on the bench. Lucas climbs into my lap. Just does it, naturally, like no time has passed. And something in my chest cracks open. Not breaks. Opens. Annika sits beside us, quiet, watching her kids with me. Thank you, she says softly. For this. I don't respond immediately. Just watch Lucas play with his car on my knee. I'm not doing this for you, I say finally. I'm doing it for them. And for me. I know. And it doesn't mean... I know, she repeats. You don't owe me anything, Dad. You never did. I'm just grateful. We sit in silence for a while. Then Emma looks up at me. Grandpa, will you come to my birthday party? I glance at Annika. She looks surprised. This wasn't planned. When is it? I ask Emma. 2 weeks. I'm turning 8. I'll think about it. Please? She gives me that look, the one kid's perfect by age 5. We'll see. That means yes, Lucas announces confidently. Annika laughs, and I do too, despite myself. When they leave, Emma hugs me. Lucas waves, and I sit back on that bench, alone again. But not lonely. So that's my story. The whole truth, the betrayal, the revenge, the unexpected grace that came after. If this resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible to the people you loved most, if you've ever been taken for granted, if you've ever had to choose between being kind and being respected, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now. Tell me, have you ever had to cut someone out of your life? Have you ever stood up for yourself when it cost you everything? Your story matters, and I read every single comment. If this video taught you anything about knowing your worth, about setting boundaries, about the difference between forgiveness and doormat syndrome, hit that subscribe button right now. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, your dignity is yours. Don't give it away. I'm Grandpa Otto, and I'm just getting started.